it's time once again to go out to the other part of the United States. It's called the West Coast. It's called Hollywood, California, and the person's called Michael Snyder. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, and hi, everyone. We're heading into the 4th of July holiday, so we are going to jump the gun a little bit on one film, but it's new movie time and some interesting stuff in the theaters. And we'll lead off with that holiday blockbuster, Spider-Man Far From Home, which opens on Tuesday, July 2nd. The climactic two-part Avengers finale to Marvel Studios' 10 years of interlocked movies now has its coda. Spider-Man Far From Home is the second of the movies from Sony in their team-up with Marvel that feature young Tom Holland as teenage Peter Parker, a.k.a. The amazing and spectacular Spider-Man, and shows fans and newbies the aftermath of the events, all the events that occurred in Avengers Endgame. And it actually moves things forward in this sprawling, detailed world of the Marvel Comics superheroes. If you don't watch these movies or don't like them, so be it. But if you do, Far From Home shows how one group of people, the kids of New York's Midtown High School, and I guess their families and friends, dealt with the return of half the population of the world who had been snapped out of existence for 5 years due to the cosmic goings-on in the Avengers movies. Peter Parker, his Aunt May, and his schoolmates attempt to start living normal lives again, and as a treat, he and his fellow students are going to go on a class trip to Europe, where Peter hopes to leave all this superheroing behind and instead profess his love to snarky, almost goth girl MJ, played by Zendaya. Complications ensue, especially when Peter is being pressured by Tony Iron Man Stark's right-hand man, Happy, and by former S.H.I.E.L.D. super spy Nick Fury, who first assembled the Avengers. Fury and fellow agent Maria Hill want Peter to don the Spidey suit and work with them, and Happy wants Peter to embrace his destiny as the late Tony Stark's superhero protege, but Peter just wants to have fun and win the heart of MJ. So the movie's almost Spidey Lampoon European Vacation, as directed by John Hughes, until giant elemental monsters start attacking various cities, including Venice, where Peter's class is visiting. At this point, another player enters the scene to battle the elementals, a super-powered guy who Fury says is from another dimension. And this guy, codenamed Mysterio and well played by Jake Gyllenhaal, seems to let Spidey off the hook, allowing Peter to have his vacation. But twists and turns and some spectacular, almost Looney Tunes level action catapult Peter back into action. And I got to say, it was very entertaining. It's not the best of the Marvel movies. I kind of liked Homecoming a little better. Director John Watts is back. Most of the cast from Homecoming is here, and a lot of Marvel cameos, including Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and if you're a fan of these films, you will too. And of course, stay for the end credits. There is one real treat afoot if you do.
Thanks for doing a spoiler.
That was the spoiler. Stay. I said stay.
No. The spoiler was you said that Iron Man, Tony Stark, was dead.
Oh, yeah. If people don't know this by now, all the trailers have the death of Tony Stark as a key note in the story.
I haven't seen the picture yet. I wanted to watch it clean, but now it's been spoiled for me.
Wait. You haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet?
No. Why should I?
Well, there you go. The end.
I can sit. I can sit at home and watch it.
And I'm sure you may not, because why should you? Anyway,
why? I've seen all the others.
I know, but you were so negative about going to see this one. Here's the point. The point is, if you don't know already that Tony Stark is dead,
I don't want to pay, $75 to go see a fucking shitty movie, which most of these Avengers pictures have been.
Well, your attitude toward them notwithstanding, the rest of the world has seen this movie and is going to see it a second time.
And there are other people that feel like I do that it's a piece of shit.
I loved it. Anyway, moving on to yesterday. This is a high-concept film. It's a stretch, and the execution provokes some questions. But if you just sit back and enjoy it with an open heart, Yesterday is a charming rom-com in a unique genre. It's the alternate universe rom-com. Here's the idea. A nice guy Brit named Jack with some middling musical talent has always dreamed of being a successful singer-songwriter, but the only person who has truly believed in him is his best friend and secret crush, Ellie, who's been his manager since their school days. Despondent about his future because he's just not making it, Jack is hit by a bus while on his bicycle at the exact time a worldwide blackout occurs. When he wakes up in the hospital, he realizes that he's the only one in the world that remembers the Beatles and their music, thus the title Yesterday. He realizes this, and he decides to pass their songs off as his own, and off we go. Jack is played by Himesh Patel from TV's EastEnders, the British soap opera. He's well-liked in the UK. I'd never seen him before because I don't watch the show, but he's a lovable schnook here with a serviceable voice. That's what we'll say. Ellie is played by a more familiar face, Lily James of Downton Abbey and Disney's live-action Cinderella and other high-profile projects, and she's so earnest and adorable here that you want to reach up to the screen and hug her, and they have lovely chemistry. Kate McKinnon from SNL is pretty dead on as a crass American music biz exec who sees a fortune in Jack's Beatles songs, and Ed Sheeran, yes, that Ed Sheeran, plays himself as a pop star, so impressed with Jack's music that he decides to mentor this unknown kid. It's sort of hard to go wrong with Danny Boyle of Slumdog Millionaire and Trainspotting fame directing, and Richard Curtis of Love Actually, Notting Hill, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Blackadder, etc., writing the screenplay. And although this is one of the lesser works by each of these guys, it's still a treat, and the presence of Ed Sheeran is offset by all that Beatles music. Really good date movie. I recommend Yesterday, as I recommend Spider-Man. Let's get going here. Annabelle Comes Home is the latest installment in the Conjuring horror movie series after a couple of prequels about the creepy possessed doll of the title, I think two, and one about a demonic nun. It all started with The Conjuring, which was a surprisingly good adventure with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, a couple of top-notch actors as the real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. In this chapter, we're back to the present after Conjurings 1 and 2, and the demonic doll Annabelle is safe in the Warrens' basement of horror artifacts, which is a big sign on the door warning away the unskilled in demon fighting, and a sign on Annabelle's glass case saying, "Do not open." So, of course, when the couple go out for dinner and leave the babysitter with their young daughter, the babysitter's best friend, a death-obsessed kid, disregards all the signs and warnings. And, well, you know what's going to happen. I thought the first rule of horror movies was don't go in the basement, but these kids haven't seen any horror movies, apparently. There are good jump scares, and the kids are solid, especially little McKenna Grace, the president's daughter on Designated Survivor, playing the Warrens' kid here. But there's too little Farmiga and Wilson. It's kind of a bait and switch, and, things get a little confusing and complicated. I think Annabelle Comes Home is good for what it is, but again, not a great movie. I much preferred the two Conjuring films. We'll wrap things up with a weird switch on the Hamlet story, Ophelia, with Daisy Ridley, Ray in the recent Star Wars films, as Ophelia, the object of Hamlet's affections, and in this case, lady-in-waiting to Queen Gertrude. Naomi Watts plays Gertrude, Clive Owen is Claudius, both familiar figures in Shakespeare's Hamlet, and in director Claire McCarthy's revision, Hamlet is, he's the kind of death-obsessed Dane prince, worried about his status and curious about how he's going to survive in the court. And Ophelia, for her part, who loves Hamlet, has agency and isn't anything like a frail victim here. She's quite good, Ridley, and so is Watts. And even though there were some liberties taken with Shakespeare, it was satisfying. I will point out that Clive Owen is, shall we say, in high dudgeon as Claudius, turning the amp up to 11, and the wig they gave him is pretty goofy looking. I thought this was okay, but it's the kind of thing you might want to watch on HBO when it becomes available. What are you watching, pal?
Nothing.
Nothing on TV?
Nothing. It's
Keeping up with Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
It's okay. I can't get into a show that's been canceled. It's very difficult.
I like to think of miniseries like Good Omens as treats because you watch them and then you don't have to watch another run of them.
I thought Good Omens at best was mediocre.
Well, anyway, that's it for right now. I guess we'll take the July 4th week off and hopefully see you back here at GABNet soon. I'm at Culture Blaster on Twitter and Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page on Facebook.
Thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate it. And we will be back with more of Michael in a couple of weeks. But right now, stay tuned for more programming here on GABNet 24/7. And if you're just listening to us on demand, look at some of those shows that are right below this one.